Our group chat is very active.
How would you grade his first year and a half?
Well, I don't think I grade anybody's first year. It's like me grading me as a freshman or sophomore. And so I was as a junior and senior. I'm averaging 20 points, playing different, mature. I think you're different. I think his progression has been great. And I think that's what you want to see. You want to see progression. You don't want to see, you're not going to be stat. Everybody's not going to win a championship their first year either. You know, you look at your second year, you get better, and you start to see progression. If you see progress, you see a championship coming.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler, honored and pleased to be with you. Thank you so much for joining me, whether it's live or podcast tonight or podcast tomorrow on the ESPN Lexington app. We played that bite yesterday, but I like it so much. We'll play another bite from yesterday that I just like that much. That was Derek Anderson, who was one of my all-time favorite cats. I need to get him on the show. And, you know, Pope has talked, as you know, about the text messages with his brothers, with the guys from 96, and he says it can be rough. And DA was saying, and I could feel his smile because I interviewed him a gazillion times back in the day, that he's tough with them. And I brought this question up yesterday. Maybe I need to go to a press conference, Jimmy. I don't want to. Don't make me. Nobody makes me do anything, which I'm lucky and blessed. Don't make me, Jimmy. Jimmy, don't make me, because I went to a million press conferences. But there's two questions in particular I'd like to ask. One would be of Chandler, which I'll get into in a second. One would be with Pope. And I say this with loving kindness. He's a lot tougher as a coach now as he was than he was when he started here. It's all good. It's all good, unless he's fooled us with perception. And if he has, I'll say I'm wrong. But it's, you know, tough to read between the lines. And so he's gotten tougher. And it sort of sounds like, from what DA has said, that they have made a suggestion that he needs to be tougher on the team. And look at it this way. The kids on the team, they've had coaches that were much tougher than Pope. And I'm not talking about being mean or nasty or anything like that. No. Because I really don't believe in that stuff. I don't. There's a toughness that I think you can do and get away with. Pitino's on the edge. He's never going to be a Pitino. But I really wonder how much of the change in Mark has to do with his teammates saying, hey, you know, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I think it is. And Jimmy, if it's somebody else, I'd like to know. Maybe it was Pitino. But you can see him on the sidelines. I mean, there have been some four-letter words come out. And the way he kind of snaps at an official. Although when he got the technical, I defend him. He said his piece. He was strong. He was to the point, and he turned to walk away from Shows. And I thought that was horsepuck that he got a technical for that. But that's I don't want to go there. I just think it's important. And I'd like to ask Mark, you've changed. And by the way, you're supposed to change and grow. You are. And I really love the word that Derek Anderson, one of the great Kentucky players, used with progression. He has progressed as a coach. He has. So now the segue to that is, am I wrong? Are you wrong? And if I'm wrong, I think you've been wrong too, Jimmy, but I'll let you defend yourself here. There's been a lot of criticism, and I did it too, by the way. I did it too. I don't hide behind anything I've said. I will say when I've changed my mind, and I'll say when I've said whatever. So with all this talk that comes from Ben Roberts, who did his homework and came up with $22.6 million, and I was 100% in line with my dear friend Dick Hoopsweiss, who's coming on Thursday, when he has said, and I believed, that for 22.6, whatever the hell it was, and suppose it was 19 million, it doesn't matter. It was a lot of money. For all that money, you better get a star. So initially, I defended Pope when I said, look, this is what I thought he anticipated, that Oweh would be a star. He is now. And by the way, Oweh is playing now the way I thought he'd play all along. It couldn't be initially because of the injury. This is before the injury happened and all that kind of stuff. And if you think about it, he's always had this mantra that guys get better underneath him. And like with Aberdeen, since he came from Florida, won a national championship, I expected some of these guys to come here and actually almost immediately take a step up, and they didn't. And they did it. And it made everyone, me included, questioning $22.5 million or whatever the hell it is, $1 million. So, Jimmy, I'm going to throw this at you. If Kentucky, let's say, I'm not saying they're going to make the Final Four, but they're 17-7 now, the same exact record they had last year at this time. which I find fascinating, by the way. It's almost kind of eerie. It kind of gave me a chill. I didn't realize it right away. Somebody on Twitter did. I should give him credit, but I can't remember who the heck it was. Neither here nor there. And so when you think about the journey just to get to 17-7 and the journey last year, Jimmy, is it possible if these kids make the Sweet 16 or the Final 8 and not the Final 4, that the criticism put me in this boat? And I want you out there, be honest. I'm honest. You be honest. Is it possible? And I'm not saying absolutely yes yet, because this thing could crumble. By the way, I don't think it's going to crumble, and I actually think they can play better. I really do, which is even goofy. But do you think it's possible that we were wrong? At the time, we were right. And I'm not doing it to shill for myself. At the time, this didn't look like anything about spending $22 million plus on a team, because it just didn't put together. And I really thought, if you're spending that kind of money, so did my dear friend Dick Hoopsweiss, you better get a superstar. You better get a superstar for that kind of money. You better get one of the top 5 or 6 players. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they didn't. And then they weren't playing well. So I questioned it. So many of you did too. So, Jimmy, one, did you question when you did a show with Matthew? I don't remember everything you say with me, but did you question the $22.5 million, whatever the hell it is, spending? Did you question it, yes or no?
A little bit, but it was never like a big sticking point. One, because I would be curious what all of the other schools, like say go through the top 25, what are those schools spending compared to what Kentucky has? I get the name and the brand of Kentucky and everything, but I would be curious to compare the two. But it's also one of those, it's hard to jump the gun that early in the season saying this is a waste of money. It's so early. Like, you got to kind of see it all come together. But the money was never really a sticking point to me, only because I don't know what else to compare it to.
That's fair. By the way, I wasn't like, but I did question it. And I'm not backing off from what I said. Let me throw this number out here. Rick Pitino apparently said this in the last 24 hours, that he thinks that all Big East teams to compete, because he wants the Big East, since he's there, to be very, very competitive. He's always been loyal to his conference. Cal's been loyal to his conference. You know, Pope's going to be loyal to his conference. It's kind of thing. And I found this number interesting, and I have heard from some people who know Pitino, like no Pitino, that this is the range where he was at. So he is suggesting that all Big East teams have between $9 and $11 million to compete. And if he's saying that, he's not just throwing this damn number out there. He's not at all. And he's got a billionaire, Mike Rapoli, who's got all these horses and stuff like that, who's his sugar daddy. So that's a beautiful thing. He's got a sugar daddy. If Moorhead ever gets a sugar daddy like Mike Rapoli, guess what? Moorhead all of a sudden is going to be a great, 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 great team. They are. They just will. They'll be able to spend money like crazy. Not knocking where they are, but I've said it forever. Somebody like a Moorhead or something is going to have a billionaire said, I'm in. And I'd love to see Moorhead or another or Eastern. I'm in. That's all they need. So that kind of amplified me, Jimmy, a little bit more when I saw that 9 to 11 million. And so we are guessing now, but I trust Ben Roberts as a reporter. Ben's a smart reporter. He works hard. And I kind of have a pretty good idea how he did it, which, by the way, Jimmy, I think took a lot of work.
Yeah.
This was something, and I asked him, this was something he did over a course of time while you're doing your daily job, which is not unusual for this kind of story. So it would also mean that Kentucky maybe spent more than the St. John's of the world, but how do they spend it? And it's never going to be equal. It's never going to be equal. But I kind of think if you got $3 million and you're one of the top supposedly 60 teams in the country, you're screwed. You're screwed. You can't win. The program's going to fall apart. There's no question about it. Now that I throw that number at you, do you have a different opinion, Jimmy?
Yeah, especially if, like, let's say the majority of teams that aren't like those top 2 or 3 are around that, then yeah, if it's almost double spending what the other projections would be, then yeah, I would be more questioning where that money went, why weren't you able to get other guys and stuff like that. So yeah, that having a number to compare it to, that would change the way that I feel.
Okay, a couple things. I think he got turned down by some big stars. I really do.
Yeah.
And there's 2 things here. If he didn't, that mean he wasn't doing his homework contacting these guys. And the last thing you're going to do is call Mark Pope lazy. So it's pretty obvious. Plus some things that I know. He got turned down by a lot of people. And by the way, a lot of people get turned down. So is this directed at Pope? No. But I don't know what the number is now, but as of about a week ago, there was a recruiting service that said of the top 50 freshmen to be, 40 were already taken. So he ain't getting any great freshmen. Maybe one in all probability, which means it's going to be have a transfer portal thing. But I do believe this, Jimmy, If they keep on winning, it's going to be much easier to attract people here. There's no question about it. And when they were 9-6, whatever the heck it was, if that continued and all of a sudden they ended up with 14, 15, 16 losses, even though it's Kentucky, I think it would have been difficult recruiting. I do, because the world has changed. They keep on winning, and there's no question in my mind, there's a lot of holes, and it's going to be easier to put together. By the way, Aaron Gershon at 12:30. My buddy Kendrick Caskins from Wave TV at 1 o'clock, and the law firm of Lanter, Bowen Todd, former UK guards, will be joining us at 1:30. Got a lot of good things set along for later in the week. But aren't you curious, too, as to what changed in Pope? And I bet his teammates. Look, there's only so many people you're going to listen to. You're going to listen to somebody you trust. You're going to listen to somebody who's smart. And you know what? The guys from 96 are smart guys. They were smart basketball players. They weren't just talented basketball players. They were smart basketball players. And you know what? They don't all have to be a coach for them to say, hey, maybe you ought to do this, this, and that. I'd love to do that. Here's the second thing I want to find out. Is it clip number 9 with Chandler, the bite that I really like? Is that what it is? I'm pretty sure it's clip number 9.
I think it's number 9.
Let me double check. Yes. And so I have this thing about Chandler and what helps him shoot late in games. And that everybody knows about the pass Owe made to him and all the great shots he's hit late in games. And one of the games, I should look it up, I can't remember, when he was 1 for 9 and hit a shot from Danville, which was huge. I mean, so the kid is fearless. The kid is absolutely fearless. Here's clip number 9. Jimmy, crank it a little bit if you can, because he was really soft-spoken. And then I want to explain something, and I'd love to talk to Chandler about this. And it's all positive, but it's a psychology that I think is part of Chandler's brain. Here it is.
You got to take the fear out of your shots and know that it might not go in, and live with that, and it's great when it does, and you plan on that. But I think that's how it's got to be.
That's how it's got to be. So not for a second, and this is important to start this comment out, do I think his desire to make a shot is any less than anybody on the team or anybody on any big program in the country, or let's say somebody transient. It's the same thing. It's still basketball. Who are you going against? But I have seen things in the past where somebody who is religious and they're so vivaciously strong with whatever they believe in, which I respect totally. I don't care what religion you are. I just don't. That because of your faith, as much as you want to make the shot, I believe it's possible for some to think that it's easier to live with a shot that you miss. And if that's true, it takes a little pressure off. Not the pressure of saying, oh my gosh, it's not that big deal if I miss. No, it hurts you. It hurts your team. It hurts your fans. It hurts all of that. But it's a little different if there's something else in your world that's more important. Basketball is not the most important thing to Chandler. He loves basketball. He eats, sleeps, and talks and breathes basketball. Okay, and I hope you all can understand the difference. And Jimmy, I honestly believe, and I haven't talked to him about it, but because I have seen this with other athletes, I'm throwing it out here about a possibility. Jimmy, I know you get where I'm coming from, but can you see where I'm coming from? He's so religious and he's so strong in his faith, and that's more important than basketball. He loves basketball. This kid loves basketball. I think it's easy for him to accept the fact that you have to accept the fact you're not going to make every shot. You see that, Jimmy?
Yeah, I feel like it almost grounds you in a way where it's like there's bigger things in life than that, where it's not yes, you want to make every shot in this, but you're not literally, like, you're not living and dying with every shot. You know that you're going to get, so it almost relaxes and calms you in a way in those high intensity situations where you're not so nerved up, where it's like, you know what, I'm fine. I'm relaxed. I trust myself because I trust my faith and everything that goes along with it. I feel like there's got to be a correlation between that.
You did it again. This is like 3 or 4 times in a row I've asked you for a strong opinion, and you came up with an expression that I've heard before better than when I did, when you said ground you. You got to stop doing this to me. You're showing me up on my show. Seriously, and all kidding aside, one, that happens to be true, but two, I don't give rats. And three, I really like how you said that because he's so grounded because of his beliefs. That doesn't lessen his love or desire or thirst to make the shot, but it's easier to accept, even though he internalizes it when he goes home. And he's credited his wife for helping him out, for staying on path because basketball is so important to him. So you see it too, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I would hope, and I know there's a bunch of people in the media that listen to the show. I don't know who's listening now, obviously, that someone thinks to ask him about that. Should I go to a press conference?
Just to get one question in at least.
Well, there's two questions I really want to ask. I would love to ask Mark Pope what facilitated the change where he obviously, now if he says he's not any tougher, I'm just going to have to go okay and believe him. And then you ask the players, and I wonder if they'll just say, yes, coach is not any tougher. I think Pope is tougher. And I really think Chandler, because his religion grounds him, I think that's helped him with these shots. I really do. I really do. I wonder how many other people can see it or already thought of it. So there's three premises we started today is the 22 million or whatever. Might we be eating our words? And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I criticized it. I didn't say it was a waste. I questioned the construction of the roster by not bringing in a superstar. And so it is easy to say, and I suggested this way back when, that Oweh was a superstar. And you want to know something? He is. But I'm going to defend myself a little bit with $22.5 million because I don't think Oweh took up a large part of that $22.5 million. I could be wrong, but from what I've heard, there still should have been enough money if it was $22.5 million. And see, Jimmy, if you agree with this, and I'm not doing it to shill for myself, see if you agree with it, that they still should have been able to get another superstar. And I will always say that was a deficiency in the construction of the roster, even if they win the national championship. And if you think I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because they win a national championship, you can say, oh, they didn't need it anyway. That's nice. But that's not the construction of the roster. So I do think that was a little bit of a problem. And I do think it's going to be fascinating at the end of the season, wherever this journey takes Kentucky fans, to see how he rebuilds the roster. And you know what? If he goes deep in the tournament and his progression continues, I'm open-minded to see what he does. And you know what? If he can't get any of the great freshmen, there's a lot of great freshmen this year, but I will always say if Marino and Johnson weren't from the state of Kentucky and they were from California, the odds of them coming here were non-existent, which means, first of all, you were fortunate as things go in cycle. They were two kids who were talented enough from the state of Kentucky and good enough to be players at UK. I'm not knocking Noah or other guy. I'm not knocking him, but I'm just saying, and I think Johnson has a great future if he stays here. I really do. I'm a big believer in Johnson. I could see him starting next year and playing 30 minutes a game and being the leading scorer on the team. And some of you might think I'm nuts. I think he's got a lot of moves. And I think he'll have more moves in the offseason. And I think he'll get much stronger. I think Jasper Johnson has the potential of being a star. Whatever he does, he does. I'm not trying to start something, but, a lot of kids aren't happy not playing. They're just not. Okay? And we'll see how this thing plays out. But, he quietly did a really nice job against Tennessee. I would like to see him play a little together with Aberdeen, not basically be his backup. I think there's enough minutes to go around. I think it's easy for Mark Pope, being smart, to kind of figure that out. But that's me. We all have our own way of doing things. Let me throw this out here. We taped a conversation this morning about 11 o'clock. I'm not sure what day we're going to play it with Ben Cleaver. Probably Friday, but I will let you know. So we've talked to Bell, the great shortstop who's made some All-American teams and pre this and pre that and whatever. What a great young man. What a great young man. And how he's dedication for baseball and he's all in for baseball. And here's a kid that shows up at 6 a.m. to work on his leads for stealing bases. which is remarkable. It's past remarkable when your best player does that. And Mingione told the story, and, they can do everything now on your phone and stuff like that. And so when he wants to get there early and there's nobody else there, the assistant coach or one of the assistant coaches can turn the lights on from the phone in his house so he can get into the complex and work out. It's beautiful. So today we talked to Ben Cleaver, and I kind of teased him a little bit. I think a lot of people know he's from, the Nashville area. So I basically said, come on. At the end of high school, he was a star. How the hell did Vandy, a great baseball school who has sent tons of really lovely big-time pitchers, had they let you out of there? And it was interesting. You'll hear more of this. I think it's on Friday. But anyway, I'll decide later today. He talked about how Mingione got on him early, and then Tennessee got on him, and Vandy never gave him a whiff. Now, before I rip Vandy for that, the truth is I don't know who the hell they got. But when you have somebody in your state that's all this and all that, and he's a lefty, and he's going to get bigger and stronger. And Cleaver admitted today, I'm not the guy that's going to blow up by you. But I have a lot of pitches, and I have confidence in my pitches. And Jimmy, you like this. The two players, I asked him who he looked up to, two perfect players to look up to. Kershaw, who just retired from the Dodgers, right? One of the great lefties at all time and one of the great people of all time in any sport, right? You're nodding your head yes. And then Max Fried, Max Fried is great, not just as a player, but as a pitcher. And it's not like Fried is throwing 99 miles an hour. He's got a little zip on his fastball, but they're great human beings and great examples. And, oh, by the way, both lefties. So I told Ben, he didn't know this, that Kershaw, I'm sure you saw this the other day, has been signed with Votto, and I'm trying to think of who else, to do some commentary on NBC. And all three guys that they put, I can't think of the third guy if you can, Jimmy.
Anthony Rizzo.
That's Rizzo, who will be very good well. And I was really disappointed nobody picked him up last year as an extra player for like $1 million or $2 million, as a part-time DH, part-time first baseman, and wonderful leader. Anthony Rizzo, and I know he wanted to play, and nobody took him. And I don't understand that. It's not like he needed a big contract. It just baffled me. It just does. But anyway, what I told him is, look, Matt may, I'm sure, love this. Matt does a wonderful job with UK Baseball, sports information director. I bet Matt could help you hook up. Suppose he's, coming to Cincinnati or something like that, and you go ahead of time. Do I think Kershaw would spend 10 minutes with him before a game? I absolutely do. And he said he'd love to do it, and I hope he does. Anyway, the point is Cleaver is a great young man. And he talked about the atmosphere at Kentucky baseball and how special it is. And as a freshman, they went to the World Series, and he talked about how he's still close to a whole bunch of those guys on that team, even though he was a freshman. So they have a bond for life, and that these older players, when he was a freshman, taught him how to act and stuff like that. And then Mingione, with a great conversation, taught him how to be a leader for this year, because he's a leader. And Mingione said, look, you got to be able to talk to guys, and you have to tell them things that they might not like. And that's okay. But as long as you're doing it for the right reason and with kindness in your heart, guys will accept it. And he's like so many guys, Jimmy, if you've seen too through the years, who are ready to lead, but they're not loquacious. They're not outgoing. And that's a difficult thing. Easy for me, but difficult for a lot of people. And he admitted that it was difficult for him, and that was the toughest part, but he's learned how to do it. And he feels he's obligated to lead because others have led him. Is that the perfect thing? And he's going to help some freshmen that probably, I'm going to guess, 2 years from now will be one of the leaders on the team, because now the players take care of themselves. And when you have what I call, Jimmy, a layered effect, that's when you have a program.
Yeah, and that's the thing where it's cyclical in a way, where if you have the senior leadership that do the same to the freshmen see, and it just keeps getting passed on from not generation, but from team to team, the new generation that comes in, it gets passed to them, and it's contagious. When you see one guy do it, like you said, you may not have to be the most vocal, but even if you just pull guys aside and it's a one-on-one thing where you can lead in different ways, or just show by your work ethic, showing up, like you said, at 6 a.m. just to work on your leads or stealing bags or anything like that. Like those things are contagious.
What I really also liked, and I'm giving some of this away, but it'll be on Friday, different audience and all that kind of stuff, that Mingione has told the team, you're going to like this, Jimmy. We have the talent to go to the World Series. The talent is here. Now we have to just do the little things. And Cleaver said that's the mantra for the team this year. Mingione is really good, dude. He's really good. I mean, he's become a great coach, not just a baseball coach, but a great coach. A couple quick notes before we take a break. Remember when Dillingham was traded and the obvious he was never going to get a chance in Minnesota? And I said, the way Billy Donovan is, and I'm going blank on the general manager, but they get along great. They really see eye to eye. And I said, there's no way that the Bulls are going to trade for him and not give him a chance. I didn't say start or anything like that or a lot of minutes right away, but you want to see what he can do. And I'm a huge Dillingham fan. I know he's short. So what? So is Allen Iverson. I'm not comparing him to Iverson, but I think he can really play. And this makes Minnesota look bad. And shame on Minnesota because they had a chance. Jimmy, his first game for the Bulls. You ready for this? 22 minutes. I didn't look it up, but I doubt there are very many times he ever played 22 minutes with Minnesota. There was a little stretch, somebody was hurt, and he got a little clock and stuff like that, but it was rare. He had a lot of DNPs, didn't play. So he had 22 minutes, and the points were nice. He had 8. You know what I love? I don't like this. I love this. Jimmy, take a guess how many rebounds he had. Remember, he couldn't see 6 feet unless he was in stilts, right? Am I wrong?
No. I'd guess maybe 3 or 4.
That would have been my guess if you said to me he had a bunch of rebounds. You ready?
Yeah.
7 rebounds in 22 minutes. And what is he trying to tell the Bulls? Hey, you know what? I might be little, height-wise, but I'm tough. I'm tough. He had 22 minutes, 8 points, 7 rebounds. He had 2 steals. They lost by 8 points, and I still am conflicted about this stat. But he was a +7. The team lost by 8, and he had the best plus-minus. That's pretty impressive. He's going to get more clock. And I'm not suggesting he's starting right away or something like that. But at a certain point, you're wasting your time in Minnesota. You're just wasting your time. And if he becomes a player, you got to have a conversation in management there. He was a high draft choice. This isn't somebody who was like an undrafted player that all of a sudden is getting a shot. And by the way, Nick Richards, also with the Bulls, is also getting more of a chance. I always thought Nick can play, and he's had spurts where he can play, and I'm rooting for him. I don't think Nick would ever be a star, but I think he's a guy that can be a backup center for a long time. And so he did a nice job as well. I think he had can't read my handwriting. Isn't that terrible? I'll look it up in a second. Either 12 points or 6 points. There's a big difference, so I'm going to kind of lead that alone. Did you see the fight between the Pistons and the Hornets?
I did.
Yeah. So what idiot would push Durant around, the big guy for Detroit? I'm not saying he's the best built big man in the NBA. Are there 10 as well built as he is?
No.
Are there 5?
Probably not.
I agree. And I can't think of the player's name who just wouldn't stop going after him. Now, that doesn't mean because he's wiry and thin, he's not strong. But Durant had a look on his face like, really? Really?
It was Diabate is his last name. No relation to Mo Diabate here, but I don't know his first name.
I'm looking at him and going, are you out of your mind? Seriously? Out of your mind? Look, people get mad and stuff like that. And now those games will be more valuable. There's no question they'll be more valuable with different gumption and all those kinds of things. I'll tell you what's really cool. Quantrell, whether it's a Cadillac, a Subaru, a Volvo, we have the XC60. We love it. It's a hybrid. We're saving a bunch of money. Best car we've had. Best car we had. And we've had. And this goes back to the early 1980s. How about that? So, are you ready for the surge? Because Cadillac just turned the dial all the way up. At Quantrell, Cadillac innovation meets raw performance. From head-turning electric models to bold, gas-powered luxury machines built to move fast right now. Get 2.9% APR, 2.9% APR for 60 months on many electric models and 3.4% APR for 36 months on many gas-powered models, and they are powerful. We've had 2 caddies. They move. They move, they move, they move. That's premium power with serious momentum behind it. Hit the throttle today at QuantrellCadillac.com. Use my name. They're really good people. They are really good at taking care of you. They believe in customer service. They don't just say it, they live it. I've seen it firsthand for well over a decade. QuantrellCadillac.com. See dealer for details. Aaron Gershon coming up next. Kendrick Haskins at 1. The Lancers, Bowen Todd at 1:30. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Hi, this is Patrick DiGiacomo, and this is why I would recommend Republic Bank. So, when the bank manager brought me over just to show me how their ITM works, he hit this button where an actual live person came on the screen, and she was so kind and helpful, and it just made me feel like, wow, I'm not dealing with just a machine, I'm dealing with somebody that's actually paying attention to what I'm doing, and it made me feel really good.
And that's how Republic Bank helps their customers go from living to thriving. Learn more at republicbank.com. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler, and I've spent years on these roads, and safety isn't a slogan to me, it's real life. That's one reason I trust Volvo. Quantrell Volvo has been part of this community for years. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine, and they run the dealership the right way with care, integrity, and real respect for the people they serve. If safety, smart design, and peace of mind matter to you, start your search at Quantrell Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth. And we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
You got to take the fear out of your shots and know that it might not go in, and live with that, and it's great when it does, and you plan on that. But I think that's how it's got to be.
Welcome back, Alan Cutler, 13. Hang up the phone. He's got a suntan now. He's in the sunshine. He does this on purpose.
Let's take a look. This is my back porch.
Okay. Jimmy's shaking his head, too. Jimmy's a Florida boy, and he's shaking his head at you. Time for the Cat's Paws now. The SID where and what do you do?
I am the sports information director at New College of Florida. We're growing it day by day. It's been good. So having a lot of fun and good to talk to you. This is actually it's a grind, man. This is my first day not going to work in 16 days, so it couldn't be better timing. Excited to talk some Kentucky with you for a little bit.
Wow, 16 days. Let me guess. You're hired and you're in charge, and at Kentucky, those folks work really hard too, but they got 1 million people there.
Yep.
And I'm guessing you might have an intern to help you out.
I do have some student workers, and then and I've 3 people on my team. One who's kind of our social media guru. One that, we're in, small school perspective, right? We do broadcast all of our games, but we don't have ESPN coming in here. We put together the broadcast and we put together the live stream. So I have someone helping with that, and then someone who's kind of community outreach. So, they're very helpful. Don't get me wrong, but the show starts and ends with me.
Wow. We're going to get into Kentucky in a second. This just broke, and I like it. Just a little thing on Talking Baseball, which I know you follow. Talking Yankees, excuse me. So Isaiah Falefa says the Blue Jays were glad the Yankees beat the Red Sox in the playoffs last year because Toronto felt that the Yankees were an easier opponent.
Yeah.
And he just signed a 1-year contract with the last week. And you want to know something? The way the Red Sox play small ball.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, we're both diehard Yankee fans, and this is painful, but he's right.
He's right. I also just love these former the Red Sox, a third, maybe more than a third of their roster are either former Yankees or Yankee prospects, and the second they get there, they start running their mouth. Where the Yankees don't talk about Boston as much, but he's not wrong.
It's interesting. And Boston just got Durbin, a former Yankee.
Right. Yep.
I love this guy because he's.
Yep. I loved him too. And Devin Williams ended up being a stinker.
I told my brother I was so mad when they traded him. 5'7", built like a brick. You know what?
Yep.
He's a poor man's Charlie Hustle. I'm not saying he's ever going to be Pete Rose. No.
Sure.
But he's running from the first step. He plays really good defense. You can play him anywhere. And he looks like a football player. He just happens to be built low to the ground. And the Red Sox just stole him.
Yep.
8 cents for Milwaukee, but the Red Sox stole him, and he should be Yankee, and I'm ticked off. Shut up, Cutler. Let's get back to the Yankees. I mean, let's get back to Kentucky. Boy, was that a Freudian slip. So that soundbite, which now is a couple minutes old, which we've now played 3 times over the last couple of days, Chandler mentally has close to a perfect attitude about handling a last-second shot, knowing he ain't going to make them all. How to live with. And you know the old Michael Jordan thing, that famous shot when he did it against Utah, up in the air, legs kicking, all that kind of stuff. And as Michael Jordan said, I made a lot of game winners, but I missed more than I made, but nobody talks about him. It seems like Chandler has literally, for a kid this age, like a perfect attitude, which is probably one of the reasons why he's hitting these shots. Do you see this?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'll tell you what, before, obviously he's hitting big shot after big shot, but I think the most impressive from this last game against Tennessee, obviously hitting the shot was huge. What I was most impressed with was the first half, Nate Ahmet killed Kentucky. Every time he touched the ball, it was 2 or 3 points for Tennessee. It never felt like they had any answers. And the big guy, the guy who was the biggest cog in kind of slowing him down in the second half was Colin Chandler. And that was kind of something that got you excited last year, right? Obviously, the way he finished the year was most exciting. Had the really big game against LSU in the regular season, hit some huge shots in the NCAA tournament. SEC tournament game, I think one of them he was really strong. So, that got you excited. But what really started to make him an option when he wasn't playing much early was Kentucky would switch him on to one of the best. They'd bring him off the bench and they'd put him on one of the better scorers on the opposing team. And Chandler would just use this athleticism to get stops. And that was kind of like his way to get in the rotation last year. And then he started making some big shots. But I think even before he was, he didn't have his best offensive game until the biggest moment, which is obviously what's most important on Saturday. But he doesn't get a chance to hit that shot if he doesn't help them slow down a Met because they were already down 14 at half. So I think that's the first thing with him. But yeah, he just has it in him. Some guys when it matters most, just you want it in their hands and it feels like they're never going to miss. And he's become one of those guys in pretty short order. It's pretty incredible.
He was even better defensively than I would have expected because
way better. Yeah.
Like, I don't mean it's demeaning. I mean, he is like 6'5", but
he's not the biggest dude in the world, but he's a great athlete.
He's a much better athlete than he's given credit for. He just is. But he's given up 5-6 inches to aim it. And that's not easy. And somebody in Knoxville told me he's actually taller than listed Amen. I don't know. But I was so impressed with the job he did at that size. I thought, he was the perfect person to put on him. I said it before the game. But by the same token, too, my concern was if Owe was on him all the time, he might get in foul trouble. And you can't have Owe with 3 fouls in the first half or 3 fouls 22 minutes in. So the way those kids play defense in the second half, it was spectacular. Let me throw this at you. Here is my theory, and I haven't talked to him. But even though you're 50 years younger than me, or 40, I know you have seen this. So whatever your religious, and God bless, more power to you. There's no messenger. You know me better than that anyway. But because this young man, and I'd love to talk to him about it, because Colin Chandler and his religion is so important to him. Sure. And as much as he's really intense about basketball, he comes off really calm and cool in interviews. And by the way, I'm convinced he's the best interview on the team because he says,
I felt he was one of the stronger ones last year, even when he didn't play much.
Yeah. I want to say this, and I want you to go. Mm-hmm. I really believe that as intense as he is about basketball, and he has talked about how he takes it home with him and his wife helps him and stuff like that, and that's a lovely thing to do, that because he's so religious, he's able to put a shot in a different place that oftentimes isn't easy for others to do. He's not the only one to do this. I'm not saying he's unique, like, oh, Cutler Jails. That's where I'm coming from. But I've seen people talk about religion and how it helps them adjust to the highs and lows of the particular sport that they're in. And I wonder, I believe, but I can't say for sure until I would talk to him, that his religion helps him accept success and failure at these late game shots. One, do you think it's a crazy theory? Please tell me if you do. And two, tell me what you think.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy. I mean, like you said, it's hard to know without talking to him and getting his perspective on it. But um, yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. It just seems like he just has a different. When you go away for 2 years like he did and barely pick up a basketball, it probably gives him a lot of perspective, right? I mean, I'm sure, it could not have been easy knowing at the time he was a top 50 recruit. He was going to go play big college basketball at BYU, which obviously with being from Utah and then with his church affiliation out there, like that's as big as it gets. So I can't imagine it was easy for him to put away a ball for 2 years and put that on hold. And, you never truly know how you're going to come out of that. I know I just small, very, very small personal note, but a kid I went to grade school with was a three borderline 4-star offensive tackle recruit at a high school. Went on a 2-year mission, had signed with BYU, and he never really became anything because, and I'm sure having 2 years off football had something to do with it. So you just never know. So I'm sure, all that he had to do a lot of work to get back to where he's at, and probably has a really good head on his shoulders, a lot of perspective, and I'm sure all that it has helped help him become the person he is today, and also become the basketball player he is today. And he just doesn't seem phased by it. I mean, it takes a lot to take 2 years off a sport where that you're playing at such a high level at, and then try to get back to that level and then level up. Because not only is he playing college hoops, he's playing at the bluest of blue bloods. So I think all that probably has something to do with it for sure.
I think his best basketball is still ahead of him.
I do too. Oh yeah, that's what's great. He's only a sophomore, and it's not like he's not going to get drafted this year. Like that's not happening. So you're going to get him back for a junior year as long as I don't think he's in any danger of transferring either.
I look at him, and I've said this probably at least 6 or 8 times. If I'm him, what I would want to do is work out with Reed Shepherd in the offseason.
Yeah.
Reed is one of the best in the NBA under the age of 25.
Yes, he is.
At two things. I'm not putting him in Nick Curry or anything like that, please. That's a stratosphere. That's like another galaxy. Okay, I don't want anybody to think I'm blowing this up. He was good here, but he's tons better now in the NBA. And if somebody says, well, he had to go to the NBA no, he's just growing as a basketball player. Sometimes people get this thing wrong. Well, why wasn't he that good here? Because he's played ball for 2 more years. He is amazing when there's no space, in the dribble to create space and then jumping over people. Well, guess what? Colin can also jump over people. His handle is just okay. I don't think it's that good, actually, for this level. In other words, it's not bad, but I think he could become great at dribbling. And if he could become close to Reed, and I think he can, by the way, this is a huge star here.
No question.
Or in the NBA as far as being an NBA player for a long time.
I agree. And he arguably has a better frame to work with than Reed, right? Where he's 6'5", he's a little stronger probably. Will end up a little stronger probably. And that's a pretty good comp.
Not sure he'll end up being stronger. I know you've seen Reed. He's got pipes.
Yeah, no, he's strong, but I don't know, man. Colin, again, it takes a level to go, and he was doing it as a freshman again, who's barely had played basketball for 2 years, and he's only months at that point back into the game. And the game I remember that he kind of took everyone by kind of storm defensively was when they went down to Tennessee in, I want to say, January of last year. They controlled a lot of that game, but they ended up they had a really bad end of the first half. They were down at half, and I forgot exactly who they switched them on. I forget if it was Ziegler. I think it might have been they put him on Ziegler, who obviously Ziegler's a small guy, but we all know how tough and strong and physical he was. He was the best defensive player in the league for several years in the SEC, and I think Ziegler shot 1 for 11 that night. Like, that takes strength and physicality to do that against teams like Tennessee, because that's all Tennessee. That's Tennessee at the end of the day. Like, Nate Ahmed's a great player this year. Over the years, they've had several handful of great players, but the one thing always going to be the same about Tennessee: they're going to play to they're going to push the limits of physicality that you're allowed to play with. And the fact that he has kind of sparked plugged 2 of those wins the last 2 years on the defensive end as a guy again who took all that time off, that's pure strength right there.
I'm questioning myself slightly. I also criticize the 22.6, and the one thing I'm not going to back off from, that they should have gotten a superstar for that money. Now, always turned into the player that I thought he would be early on. But I also said in August, the kid hasn't played basketball in 3 months. You got to give him months to get it together. And it took months. It took a little longer than I thought, and that's fine. What do I know? But he needed grace. But the point is, if you spend $22 million, you should have brought in another superstar. So what seems
Sure.
to me is that they contacted these great freshmen. They got turned down by a lot of people.
They're getting turned down in the 26 class.
And so I'm trying to figure out why. Apparently, as of last week, 40 of the top 50 have been spoken for the freshmen. I don't follow recruiting like you did. But, I see what the experts are saying. I usually give them credit, but I can't remember which side it was, but neither here nor there. And so there's something he ain't meshing, pardon my grammar, with freshman. But that doesn't mean he can't pull out maybe a freshman that's really good late, and maybe 9 or 10 transfers, because they're going to have to totally reload next year again.
Sure. Yeah, no question. I mean, you don't have as many seniors, but you're losing your best player, obviously, take it away. You're losing Aberdeen, who has been up and down, probably not exactly what you wanted or hoped for, but he's had glimpses and he's carried you to a few wins here and there. So you're going to deal with that. You're probably going to just have some natural attrition through the portal, and then guys like Malachi Marino are going to have big decisions to make. I as of now would lean toward him coming back, just because this 26 class is so loaded, and I don't think there's really a path for him to sneak into the lottery. Maybe there is, but I don't see that. So, but yeah, there's a lot of work to do, and it's not going to be a freshman heavy thing. Like they've struck out there, and maybe they still land Tyron Stokes, who's out there. I from what I've read and talked to some of my buddies back in Lex about, I don't think that's gonna really happen. So I don't know. It hasn't translated though, and that is curious. I think obviously you got to build a track record. Mark Pope is, before his now almost 2 seasons here, is only a head coach in Utah. Obviously, never really swam in these waters that he's swimming in here. He doesn't have the resume of a Calipari, a Self, even Shire at this point, Hubert Davis at this point. Like, he just doesn't have any of that yet. So it takes time to get there, and I think all you can do is go out there and win basketball games. And as bad of a start of this season was, you were 0-2 in conference play, 9-6 overall. You only won 2 of your big 6 non-conference games. You had a really apathetic loss at Vandy a couple weeks ago. Like, Kentucky goes into Florida Saturday, and they could be in first place in the SEC after that game if they win. So you keep doing things like that. You put yourself in position to win. You put yourself in position to go deep into March, and hopefully go deep into March. The recruits will come. It just takes time. I think, obviously Kentucky's a blue blood, but it's a different game now. Yeah, sure, Kansas and Duke are still getting those guys, but they're not getting all of them. Money is spread out more evenly. There's some really elite coaches at schools like Alabama where they haven't been before, and Alabama's got a lot of money down there that people sleep on. So it's just a different ball game now. It's a different ball game, but the good news with that is there's multiple ways to skin the cat. And Kentucky can, hopefully learn from some of the mistakes they made in the portal this window. And I think as I'm sure the term has been thrown around a ton up there this season, there was probably an overcorrection, right? Where Kentucky was a very, very elite offensive team. Pope's first year, they struggled to get stops in the biggest of games. They struggled with physicality. Pope went all in on physicality, didn't bring in enough shooting. Now you've gone through 2 off seasons. You got to find a way to strike that balance, and I think I don't see. He's a smart guy. I trust that he'll be able to do that just fine.
So is it possible we were too critical of the 22.6 in the roster? My only caveat is there's no big time freshman, not from the state.
I don't think. No, I think it's fair criticism because I agree there isn't that second star to go along with OA, and there isn't that knockdown shooter that you had in Kobe Brea the year before that, or even like you didn't even find like a guy off the bench like an Ansley Almanor on the cheap that like is just so perfect in his role. So I think the roster. I don't think the roster construction was great. I still think this team is very flawed, and I don't think their ceiling is. I think probably is Sweet 16 is probably their ceiling, but I also think that while the roster construction hasn't been ideal and the injuries have been a killer, I also think you got to give a tip of the cap to both Mark Pope and the players for working with what they've got and turning it around. I mean, it's not like now they've won 8 out of 9, I think it is, maybe 9 out of 10, and they've done it against some pretty darn good teams. They've swept Tennessee. They went into Arkansas and got revenge for last year on Cal, and that's a really good team Cal's got this year. Like that is when you look at that roster, those are the rosters he's gone pretty darn far with. So that was a big win, and this conference isn't what it was last year, never was going to be, but again, you're going to go play the national champs who are playing some of the best basketball in the country this Saturday, and if you're able to pull that one out, you're in first place in the SEC. Who would have thunk that after they were getting 50-pieced by Gonzaga in Nashville?
Not me.
No one.
Jeff Goodman was on Paul Feinbaum yesterday, and I was in the car and I'm listening, and he was talking about really good teams and stuff like that. And he mentioned Arkansas just in a series of a lot of teams that could do something, maybe in the NCAA tournament. And then he said, yeah, my problem with Arkansas is I don't trust Calipari's coaching.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. What has he done? What has you done lately for me business, and what has he done lately to prove that he can get a team over the hump, even with all the talent in the world? He hasn't done it.
Not only that, I have believed forever and said it many times, and I'm assuming you did too, that it was great he won a national championship at Kentucky, but he should have won 2 or 3.
2 or 3. I think 2015 they should have obviously won it, and I think 2017 they should have won it as well.
But he's got great guards.
Oh yeah, I mean Acuff and Thomas are as good as it gets, but they're also freshmen. So you had really, really good guards in 2024 with Reed and Rob. Reed, we were just talking about how incredible he's playing in the NBA right now, and that those were 2 freshmen, pretty comparable to just the combination of Acuff and Thomas, and those guys lost to Oakland.
Who's coach of the year if Kentucky beats Florida and Kentucky ends up SEC?
Mark Byington still? Vandy?
Really?
It may be. I mean, they lost to Oklahoma makes me a little wary, but if they end up taking, I'd have to look at their schedule. But if they end up only a 4 or 5 loss team in the conference, what are they at now? 3 losses?
I'm going blank. I'll have to look it up.
Okay, I think Mark Byington's still kind of the leader in the clubhouse. I mean, Golden maybe, but Pope. If Pope finishes top 2 in the SEC with how they started, I think you gotta really consider it. But I still think what Vandy's been able to do. I know again the Oklahoma game stinks. I do think while Oklahoma had lost 9 in a row, you look at their talent, they're not as bad as that record shows. They're not as bad as South Carolina or LSU by any stretch. So like he'd still be the guy I circle, but what Golden, I mean, look, they brought back that whole front court, and it took some time for Boogie Flynn and Xavier Lee to kind of mesh, but man, they've got it going.
If Kentucky,
if Florida just runs the table, then Florida. Also, you got to keep an eye on on A&M. Like
Yeah.
they've had a great year, first year under McMillan too.
Buddy ball.
Yeah, buckyball.
And buckyball, excuse me. And look at all
There you
the
go.
coaches that could have hired him and did not. That's always to say so. But it's your
That's
job
right.
to hire these guys before you say, hey, big. First of all, I think it's wide open. I think Pope's got no shot unless they win the league. But if he
They
wins
win the league.
Yeah, but if they win the league, I'm just pushing this out there. It's something in my wildest dreams 4 weeks ago. If you would have said, I'm going, what's in the air in Florida?
I mean, after the Vandy game, which was what, 2 weeks ago today? Like, I don't know how. I don't know. Yeah, definitely wouldn't have been able to convince me.
If you would have given me, I'm not a betting person, but if you would have given me 100-1 odds after the Vandy game, it's not like I put $5 on because I'd be worried about losing $500. But
yeah, literally,
I mean, the odds would be like crazy. And I'm not saying they're going to win a league. I'm saying I have no idea.
They could. I mean, look, the schedule is tough, but it sets you up with 2 head-to-heads against the team you're chasing, and you're only back half a game, and you still get to play South Carolina, who's terrible. Like, it's not. I mean, if you beat Florida Saturday, it's right there. You're in the driver's seat, and you still have South Carolina on the schedule. Drawing a blank on. Feel like there's another. I know A&M still on the schedule. That's not going to be easy, as we were just talking about. But I feel like there's one more. Georgia's still on the schedule. They've kind of taken a step back the last few weeks. Like they have another crack at Vandy at home. Who, look, I know we just sung Vandy's praises. Kentucky's not 30 points worse or whatever that final score was than them, and that game's at Rupp Arena. Vandy hasn't won in Rupp Arena outside of the one game a couple years ago. In a while. So. I mean, you win Saturday, you're in the driver's seat, man.
Yep, it's kind of crazy. You got one quick thought on football before we say goodbye, and you know what? You missed your right side of your face. You need to put a little more suntan on.
I know. I got burnt the other day. Our baseball season started. I got to get going on that. But no, football is just exciting. Like, it's just exciting to see a lot of newness, new faces. Obviously, starting with the coaching staff, but just a new energy and new hope and all that. I mean, this is a new era of college football. If Indiana can do it, anyone can do it. And the SEC's a juggernaut, and Kentucky's schedule is brutal, but I think it's an exciting brand of football they're bringing in here, and excited to see, read all the storylines from the spring and kind of see who's standing out and who's not. And it's just exciting. It's a breath of fresh air that the program needed. Not a dig at Mark Stoops. He did a wonderful job. That statue should still be built one day, but it was time, and it's good to see some new life in that program.
Formerly of the Cat's Paws, doing an outstanding job, now living his best life as the boss, sports director in the great state of Florida. Aaron, it's just nice seeing your face and talking.
Good seeing you guys.
All that kind of stuff. And you haven't said the one thing you're excited that John Harbaugh is now the Giants coach.
So excited. Let's go. Yeah, I was on pins and needles until the official announcement, but so excited, and not even hiring Matt Nagy can get me unexcited.
Hey, there's hope for the Giants.
There's hope, baby.
Decades and decades and decades and almost decades.
Yep. It feels good.
They've been so pitiful. Anyway, thank you, pal. Great talking.
You got it. Right back at you.
Bless you. Have fun and get back north one of these days.
Yes, I will. Absolutely.
Okay, man. Thanks, dude. Aaron Gashon did a great job covering Kentucky. Did you notice his suntan, Jimmy? Did you notice his suntan?
Yeah, I did. It's not fair. And the palm trees right outside his balcony.
Yeah, and he had to show us too.
Yeah.
From his house.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful thing. Actually, an interesting way. I don't know what he's going to do down the road, but it would have surprised me if he ends up back in the media or something like that, or just the sports information director. It wouldn't surprise me if he stayed in that he becomes a big shot in one of the big schools in sports information. I think he'd be really good at anything he does. Really smart guy. Kendrick Haskins is already waiting. Kendrick, coming up next, my buddy, sports director of WAV. And don't forget about Blue Lotus Health Acupuncture, now also providing a licensed massage therapist. I saw Ramon yesterday. He helps me tremendously. Pain, low back, neck, shoulder, arm, hand pain, foot, sciatica, neurology, myopathy, metabolism issues, autoimmune, breech, infertility, parasites, Chronic Lyme, low energy, confusion, headaches, dizziness, seizure, lots of things. He was working on my kidney yesterday. Lots of things that he can help out. He's been a dear friend. Please use my name. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914 on Versailles Road. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank, time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler, and I've spent years on these roads, and safety isn't a slogan to me, it's real life. That's one reason I trust Volvo. Quantrell Volvo has been part of this community for years. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine, and they run the dealership the right way with care, integrity, and real respect for the people they serve. If safety, smart design, and peace of mind matter to you, start your search at Quantrell Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth, and we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
W223CV Lexington.
ESPN Sports Radio 1392.5. WLXG Lexington, an LM Communications broadcasting station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. And now, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have the time straight after I messed up, I've done that and a phone number today. I'm having a heck of a day. I need to find out who my secretary is and fire that person. That's me. Hello, Wave Director, Stevie, Sports Dude, Kendrick Haskins. How are you, Pally?
I'm doing well, and to make you feel better. And you know how much I love making you feel better.
Oh, I'm suspicious already.
No, seriously. My secretary didn't realize that U of L had a game last night until halftime of the Super Bowl on Sunday. So there's that.
That happens. That
they've only played one other Monday night game all season. So, even the UK women, I vaguely remember that they played, and I forgot that IU played. So we had 3 games last night, and I didn't realize all 3 of them played. So,
but you scrambled, you made it work.
I realized in time.
Well, it matters. You know what I do now is, and I should have done it years ago, I put everything on a calendar.
See, I do the same thing, but my calendar is at work. I'm off on Sunday.
Put it on. Oh, and that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I need to do that. Yeah, because
it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah,
but it's not that much time, and it links up to computer, and it's like, okay, I should have done this years ago, but it's all good.
I will give the teams credit. Their apps all have their schedules on them, so it's easy to just run and look at their apps real quick and see, which is what I did.
Okay, Mikael Brown. Tell me about the game he had the other night, the great freshman who's been injured and that kind of stuff. And had you ever heard anything at all about the possibility of coming to Kentucky at all? Do you think it was close, not close? I'm hearing stuff, and to tell you the truth, I am never going to be a recruiting expert. I'm not. But there are some people thought that there was a really good shot he was going to come here, and I'm going, really? Really? That's just a little thing I'm curious of, but tell me how he played the other night, because his kid's got stud written all over him.
I hear so much stuff. I just let it roll off my back. You know how it is. I mean, especially now because everybody has a source, even though you've never seen these people at press conferences. So I don't listen to the majority of the stuff I hear.
Hang on, that's a really good way of putting it. Everybody's and a lie often gets out there, takes a life of its own, and then there are some people quoting it that they shouldn't. I just go like, okay, I heard this, but I have no idea. This
Right. Yeah, I just like with recruiting, I wait till they show up on campus. I don't pay attention to recruiting as much. I know who's out there. I know the names for the most part, but as far as going back and forth and all that stuff, I don't because it's asinine because it's always something. You hear one thing and then 5 minutes later you'll hear something else, and so I just like, you know what? I let the people who deal with recruiting cover that, and just let me know when they sign with the school.
Are people happy with Pat Kelsey and how good? Let's not negate what I threw at you. How good is Burr Brown?
They've won 4 straight, so yeah, they're happy. So but Michael, he's a great player. He's a great kid too. And when he was out, that's the other thing that's annoying about NIL, because now that people know that NIL is out there, nobody can be hurt. Nobody can be out with an injury. They're not playing because of NIL. They're getting their money. Look, injuries still do happen. And so the kid had a back injury in high school that he missed time in high school with too. And so he had a back injury. He came back and he was just flatly on fire last night. Him and the whole team, and Ryan Conwell was too. This was crazy. Is Michael got 45, but Conwell had 31. So the backcourt had 76 points last night, and so he can get to the basket, and when he's going to have a good game early. And unfortunately, you kind of know when he's going to struggle early too. You can tell how he's playing early. If he's got it going, he kind of settles into the game. If he misses a couple shots, has a couple turnovers, he has a tendency to kind of try to force it. I did get a chance to talk to his dad after the game last night, and his dad pushes him. His dad pushes him really hard, and his dad is also one that claps back at people on social media. And I'm like, kind of like, you're never going to win that battle. Don't. Just cheer, just root on your son. And he actually works his son out before games. And then last night they changed up their routine. He told me that they changed up their routine. He showed me the list of everything they do, down to after this workout on the floor, you go back, you eat a banana, then you eat a peanut butter jelly sandwich, then you drink a bottle of water, then you take I mean, it's that to the T on everything this kid does before the games. And so he went out and had a great game, and he was great in the post game press conference after.
Wait a second. Are you telling me this kid plays for Pat Kelsey and his father is working him out before games? One, how close? And that's like, come on, dude, I've done this forever. I don't ever remember. You think I'd heard everything. A parent working out a star college basketball player before a game. Have you ever heard or seen this? How long is the workout, and when does it happen? Like if the tips is 7 o'clock, and I'll shut up after this. I just want to throw one in here. If the tips is 7 o'clock, when do they do their workout outside the shoot around he does with the team and all that kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm. I've never seen that before. But I'd seen it with them. Because I'm trying to think of what time the game. It's probably 7 o'clock. It's usually 7:30 tip, and so we get there for live shots. If I'm in the 5, I'll get there 4:45 ish, and I've seen him out there then. Because like the first time I saw it, I thought it was another member of the staff that I'd never seen before. Because you know how staffs are. Nope, that's his dad, and he works him out. I guess that's the times we're living in, and it seems to be working out for him. So I guess he's got what 2 more months to be able to do that, and then it's a wrap for all that at the next level. But
I can't imagine in my wildest dreams an NBA team allowing this. In my wildest dreams,
no. That's why I said he's got about 2 more months.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
That's crazy. What do you think about the metamorphosis at Kentucky? I'd like to tell you I predicted it. I did not.
Nobody predicted this.
After Aberdeen's first good game that he could really start turning it around, and he has. And I did think they were going to get better, but I didn't know they'd be able to spell defense. And really, I did not see this coming. I wish I was smart enough. I am not, but I don't think they've peaked. I think it's possible their best ball is still in front of them, which means at 17-7, with the same record at last year at this time, they could go just as far as last year. They might not, but they can go even further. I'm not saying national championship or Final Four or anything like that. When you play defense like that against Tennessee, and Amen, who I love his game. I mean, he's going to be a great pro forever. Put a little more weight on, gets a couple whiskers in. He's going to be what a great touch. They could be really, 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 really good before this is over.
Well, I mean, in your defense, before these last few games, they showed no evidence that they were going to play defense. I mean, that was why they were getting beat when they was losing those games, because they refused to close out on 3-point shooters. But they've remedied that. There's still sometimes when it's like, come on, guys, you're regressing back to what you were doing earlier in the season. But I do think Aberdeen learning the point guard position a little bit better, because he's not looking to shoot it every time anymore. He is driving the lane, looking to pass it, for a big chunk of the season. If Aberdeen got the ball going downhill, you don't even have to double off of him because he's going up with a shot.
Oh, I criticize for that.
Yeah.
I really criticize him for that. And he was dribbling. There was one game in particular, I forgot which one it was. He was dribble, the shot clock, and then now I'm going in. I actually thought it was awful. Adjusted. He's a shot maker, but there's a time and place to be a shot maker.
Right. And there's other shooters on the team. And you got a shooter like Chandler that thrives off if you can drive and kick it out to him. I mean, that's kind of what he's there for. And like we're seeing the same progression of Chandler that we saw last season. It was a little bit later in the season when he turned the corner last year, and it looks like he's turned another corner this year on the defensive end. And then Ortega's Ortega. I think I think he was more injured in the beginning of the season than they talked about, because the way he's played, especially since we've gotten into SEC play, he's looked every bit as good, if not better, than he was last year.
You see a ceiling for Louisville and Kentucky?
Honestly, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on with you. I do think Kentucky has a higher ceiling because Louisville has one glaring weakness, and that's whenever they run up against a team that's strong inside, a strong post presence, has size in the middle. Because it was funny last night, my buddy C.L. Brown from the Courier, before the game, because NC State coming in had won 6 straight games coming into that game last night. And he's like, what do you think about tonight? And I was like, well, does NC State have a post presence? He's like, not really. I was like, well, they were going to be fine. And we see what happened. So
interesting.
If they play a team that wants to run with them, I give them a chance against just about anybody. But a team like a Duke that can get inside. I mean, Duke's killed them inside every time. And like the top teams in the country, like Arizona and teams like that, I don't give them much of a chance. Now with Kentucky, their biggest problem, really and truly, all season has been whether or not they're going to play defense. If they come out and decide to play defense, they can hang in there and beat just about anybody in the country. So with them, it's more of an effort thing than it is a glaring weakness. Their glaring weakness sometimes, for lack of a better term, sometimes is themselves. And so if they come out playing aggressive on defense, I give them a shot to make a real run.
I think this is past them. Those things that you're talking about were very prevalent. There's no question about that. They're going to have a clunker somewhere. You're not going to win every game. I mean, stop.
Yeah, I mean, Saturday is going to be hard at Florida. I mean, this is going to be.
Even as well as they're playing, it's tough to pick Kentucky on Saturday.
Yeah. Especially Florida at home, and Florida's playing well right now, especially the way they beat Alabama a couple weeks ago. You can't get upset if they lose that game. You just can't.
Plus, I call it like the Aberdeen factor. How will it affect him? I put the percentages, but most kids who go back to the place where they came from, it seems like not every time, but just about every time, they just don't play well. And I'm not putting it on Aberdeen or anything like that, but we've both seen this forever. And if
they force things.
Yeah, right. And if he throws in a really bad clunker, that'll be tough to overcome.
And the thing is with Florida, I mean, they're now they've been wildly inconsistent this year too. But when Florida's on their game at home, even if Aberdeen has a really good game, it's going to be tough to win that game in Gainesville just because Florida's a good team. They're defending national champions for a reason. Granted, most of the core of that team is gone, but still, they've got some really good players inside.
And they kept some big guys inside that are really, really, really.
Yes.
Okay, so I look at Kentucky. Forget about Louisville's ranking and Kentucky's ranking. Just let's play this game. Forget about it. And I'm looking at how, let's say, Louisville is playing now and how Kentucky is playing now. Okay, so Kentucky just got back in the top 25. They're just, smidgens behind Louisville. That's fine. Let's forget about that too. I look at a section of teams, and to me, you put Michigan and Arizona in a different boat, even though Kansas, without Peterson, their great star, beat them at Kansas. Not that I expected any team to go undefeated. Bobby Knight's team might remain with that moniker.
They might keep that forever. It would be like the Dolphins.
That comparison is very fair because it's happened so long that it might be the same thing. And maybe, maybe the Indiana guys will start drinking a little champagne.
They should.
Yeah, get together.
It's 50 years.
Time they should celebrate it the way the Dolphin guys.
They actually celebrated their anniversary last night. They had a press conference, and Quinn Buckner was on there and all that stuff. It was great to see Quinn Buckner and all that. It's always good to see Quinn Buckner.
What is he doing now?
I'm not sure because I used to be good friends with his son, Jason, because Jason actually used to work at U of L and he worked for the Pacers for a while. Now I forget where he went. I think he's still in the NBA. He's kind of an advanced scout, but I'm not sure what Quinn's doing anymore. He's not doing television anymore. I mean, you hear him talk last night. Even like, I don't know why he's not on TV anymore. He might be on an NBA broadcast because him speaking last night. I mean, he was phenomenal.
He's really good on TV.
Yeah, he's incredible on television. So I've got a feeling he's probably on with an NBA team, local broadcast.
Take Kentucky, take Louisville. To me, you got Michigan and Arizona, and that's the top tier. And you could make a case to putting Houston in there as well, because I love toughness. And let's say you took those three. Then there's another section of teams, okay? And then there's another section of teams, and you're not getting the 25 and you're not getting the 20. To me, without going over every other team that I look at, is you'll look at them differently. We all, judge it differently, which is part of the fun of this. I think Kentucky's in that third tier, having a shot to make the Final Four. Not number 25 in the country. I think they're playing much better than 25 in the country, but they don't deserve to be higher because they have 7 losses. They're basically, they are where they should be. I happen to think Louisville is where they should be. What ticks me is that little team, Miami of Ohio, that's 24-0, and they're not moving up. And I get they play a lousy schedule, but they've had to make big shots to win games and stuff like that. And I think they're getting screwed. I'm not putting them in the third tier. By the way, before I ask you, Zolan, do you think they should be higher if they keep on winning and other teams keep on losing?
They should be. I mean, I get it. I mean, it is the MAC, but I mean, the MAC's had some strong teams in the past. I mean, they've got the best record in the country, and so I think they should at least be in the top 20, around 18, 17, maybe as high as 15. But they're going to hold it against them if they're in the MAC. Just like when Murray State had their run a few years ago, back when Isaiah Cannon was there, they had a similar start, and I think the highest they may have gotten was 15. So it's just what it is.
It's wrong.
But the thing is they penalize them because they don't play the big teams, but the big teams don't schedule them.
Right. They're looking for someone to get a paycheck, and then they're not going to give the paycheck if they think you're going to be really good. So they blank if they do, and they blank if they don't. Anyway, back to the original thought of 4 minutes ago, I put Kentucky in that third tier, which to me, in my mind, puts them in 10 to 15 of the best teams in the country today. Forget the other crap because they don't deserve to be higher than 25, 24. What the hell's the difference? Do you put Louisville in that third tier, or do you think they're better, or do you think they're worse?
With Louisville, it's kind of hard to tell because for one, they only have 2 ranked wins, and that's Kentucky and Indiana. And so every other ranked team they've lost to. They still need some better wins. Kentucky does have some better quality wins that went over the sweep of Tennessee. To me, is what stands out to me. And so I think I would put, if you have the tier within that third tier, I think I'd put Kentucky higher up in that tier than Louisville right now, just because their resume. I know Louisville fans get mad at me. Well, we beat them. Yes, you did beat them, and the score could have been worse. But if we look at how they're playing today on February 10th, even though Louisville's coming off of a 40-point win over NC State, I give Kentucky a slight edge, because I think if Kentucky somehow beats Florida on Saturday, they're gonna jump over Louisville in the rankings anyway. So we'll see what happens.
This just broke. Lindsey Vaughn, we're going to switch on you for a second, Kendrick, that she made a comment that she has no regrets despite the pain of the Olympic crash, just reading the headline in the USA Today, and the tibia fracture. And there's some people that are saying, I'm not one of them, by the way, but I'm curious if you are, that she was selfish because she took somebody's spot. No, she earned the spot. There was obviously no guarantee this would happen. It did happen. It's horrendous. Athletes are supposed to be selfish.
Especially in an individual sport.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And, these same people that are whining and complaining, had she, let's say, won a medal or finished fourth or fifth, would you say the same thing?
No.
Like these people complaining knew she was going to get hurt? So some of these people complaining about her, well, she's selfish, she took another person's shot. Excuse me, she's 41. She spent her whole life doing this. Her whole life. Who the hell is anybody to tell her she shouldn't do this? Do you agree, disagree?
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, that's not like she was voted onto the team. I mean, she had to compete and qualify. She had to go through qualifiers to get there. I mean, it's not like they just like, oh, we're going to hold this spot for Lindsey. She had to qualify to get there.
By the way, if they held the spot for it, which is not allowed, by the way, if they did give her that to her, I would complain about that, because history would show one thing, but now she's 41. Now, I don't care if she was 41 or 23. It's just fair. It's like there's now, she's taking a lot of crap now. It seems like not overwhelming, but tons of crap for why? To have the guts to do what she did at this age with her knees and all her surgeries. I applaud the hell out of her.
I do too. And like they totally skip over the fact that an American, Breezy Thompson, won the gold medal in the women's in that exact event. So it's the best one. And so I don't, but it's just the days and times we live in. It's just always somebody wants to blame somebody for something.
And Breezy didn't get enough publicity, and it's not.
No, she didn't.
And they're giving it to Lindsey, but that's fair. The reporters decide to do what they want. And that's a little unfortunate. And I don't blame any reporter giving her tons of publicity because she's a great story. That to me is unfortunate, but there's nothing negative towards. It's like you don't have to stick a mic in her face, right? How many times we decide to do what we do and somebody else said you should have given somebody more publicity? I'm sure that's never happened to you.
No. I was getting yelled at last week because I got to a boys game early and I wasn't planning on covering the girls game. The girls game was still going on and the mother was mad because I wasn't shooting the game. I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch another station. I was like, all right, well, they're not shooting the game either because they're standing over there.
What did she say to you when you said that?
Shut up. Huh?
She told you to shut up, or she shut up?
No, she shut up.
Okay. Has criticism from parents gotten much worse now?
Not for us. I mean, it's for coaches and stuff. The thing is the worst, and you know how it is. It's not like the Saint X's and the Trinities for us that where the parents complain because they always win, so they do get publicity. It's the school that's not used to being good, and all of a sudden they start having a good season, and no matter how much we cover them, it's not enough. That still happens, but you can only do so much.
Did you hear what Derek Anderson said about the group texts and stuff like that? That Pope has always said the guys are tough. And did you hear what he said? If not, I want to play it for you. Hey,
I didn't.
Jimmy, can you cue up that Derek Anderson sound bite that we played to start the show and we played yesterday? I like that Chandler bite so much. We're playing it multiple times. And I like the DA comment because DA is one of the smartest guys you're ever going to meet. who just happened to be a great basketball player and does it with a smile. And I know you know the story, but younger people don't realize the story. For a while, he was sleeping in a park on a bench because that's how bad his life was.
Yeah.
Turned out to this positive, humble, caring, successful businessman. You know, when people say I had a tough childhood, well, a lot of us had a tough. I didn't have it like he had it. Let's not get silly here. But he's made himself into a great human being, which is all his credit. So Pope, as you know, has talked about how, you know, the fellas from '96 and they have the scoop text and sometimes they're really rough on them and stuff like that. Listen to this, and then I want to talk about it before we say goodbye. So Anderson was asked, is it really that rough? These text messages, you guys, you know, sometimes can on Pope. Here's DA.
Oh, it's active. He gets it too. He gets no passes. We'd be like, Pope, what you doing, man? We're gonna come in there and rough you up. But it's always ongoing. But we're always positive. We always tell him motivating. He asks for some opinion sometimes, just talking, because we're his brothers. We're not opinionated. We're facts. We're not gonna give him a pass if he's not doing well. We're not gonna beat him down when he's not doing well. We're gonna say, hey man, we're here for you. Just keep getting better, man. Just do this, and that. And he's always been responsive to that. So our group chat is very active.
How would you grade his first year and a half?
Well, I don't think I grade anybody's first year. It's like me grading me as a freshman or sophomore, and so I was senior. I'm averaging 20 points, playing different, mature. I think you're different. I think his progression has been great, and I think that's what you want to see. You want to see progression. You don't want to see. You're not going to be set. Everybody's not going to win championship their first year either. You look at your second year and get better, and you start to see progression. If you see progress, you see a championship coming.
What a brilliant answer. Like, let's not jump to guns. Let's look for progression. One, that was smart. And two, as brothers, you bust people's chops.
That's what you do.
Yeah. The way it should be. I love that whole answer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, my best friends, when we bust each other's chops all the time, I bust your chops all the time. But
we were friends.
I mean, we gotta be something. We've known each other for so long.
I know.
But DA, he's spot on. And it's funny because we talk about Kirk Cignetti at Indiana. I was like, he's thrown the timeline off for every coach in America, not just in football, but for every sport. Everybody thinks, well, if they won it in the second year, that doesn't work like that. That's the biggest anomaly that's ever been in the history of college sports. And so, but like you said, you want to see progression. Like you said, their record is the same as it was at this point last year, and it took some growing pains. And like he's had major injuries this season. The roster, he's probably just now settling on a rotation, and still probably gonna have to do some tweaking to the rotation as it is even at this point in the season. But he's adjusted. He's figured out what was wrong with the team defensively. They've been closing out better defensively. They've been playing 1,000 times better defense. And when you do get tired of them getting behind all the time, but at the same time, it's at this point you don't feel like the game is over. You never feel like the game is over until it's over, and just because this team plays with so much heart.
One, I hate to admit this publicly, I appreciate your friendship tremendously and how we've busted each other's chops for decades. Mean, are you to me or me to you? It's a horse race, isn't
it? Yeah. I'm getting old.
You're coming close to getting in my neighborhood. Give yourself a great plug. Love talking to you on the show. It also keeps our relationship flowing, that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you tremendously. Folks, if you're watching Louisville TV and not watching Kendricks, I can't help you. Give yourself a great plug, pal.
We're on at 6 and 11 every night. I'm on social media, even though my Twitter page got hacked. And so now I've got a makeshift Twitter page. I've been dealing with them for months now, trying to get my page back. So I haven't been tweeting as much because I'm like, I hate. I went from however many followers I had to like 5. So I'm just trying to decide if I want to keep fighting with them or just try to build up my other page. But I'm still on Instagram at Kendrick Haskins, and I'm on Facebook, Kendrick Haskins.
Just build another page and let me know. I'll keep on retweeting your stuff, and that'll get you at least 2-3 more people.
Hey, 2 or 3 people was 2 or 3 more people than I had yesterday.
Well, all good. Brothers, stay safe and healthy. Appreciate your time. Hopefully we can do this down the road.
I'm sure we will.
Thanks, Kendrick.
Thanks. See ya.
Jimmy, if you heard some of the conversations, how we yell and scream at each other, I guess you can visualize it easily.
Even without hearing him, I can visualize it.
Yes. Yes. We end up always laughing. It's just funny how that works. Terry Page, Terry Page. Not a good, not a very good. You've heard me say this a million times. A great licensed massage therapist. And she texted me the other day, hey, Alan, what do you think about this? Your listeners get a $10 off their first visit if they use the code Cutler when booking in February. So whether it's a text or on the phone, just say Cutler and you get $10 off your first one. She's great. She is just special. Mondays and Tuesdays in Butler, Thursdays and Fridays here in Lexington on Regency Road, just off Nicholsville Road. A very, very special healer and massage therapist. She's been a friend and a tremendous help to me. Check her out, Terry Page. Jot this number down again. Please use my name, 859-373-0578. The Lanterns coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM. You know, how often have I done a show where all of a sudden, Jimmy, I turn my head, we don't own a dog, and there's a dog right next to me?
I don't know if that's ever happened.
Not to me. Alan Cutler. It's the Cutler household, dude. You know what I'm saying? Alan Cutler, 1300 AM. That's why I paused. I looked and said, really? Hi, Oscar. 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment. Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Hey, I'm Dale Wise. I've just recently retired. I know that the electronics, if you don't keep up with it, it can get away from you and get real confusing. Republic Bank's app, I use their app, and it is so easy to use. I log in with my fingerprint, so it's super easy. I don't have to remember 50 million different passwords and all that stuff. And it lays it out just real nice.
That's Dale's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC. Data rates may apply.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler, and I've spent years on these roads, and safety isn't a slogan to me, it's real life. That's one reason I trust Volvo. Quantrell Volvo has been part of this community for years. Brentley and Mark are friends of mine, and they run the dealership the right way with care, integrity, and real respect for the people they serve. If safety, smart design, and peace of mind matter to you, start your search at Quantrell Volvo. We have the XC60, the hybrid. We love it. Best car we've had in 43 years, and it is really smooth, and we're saving money on the gas. Right now, get financing as low as 0.99% APR for 36 months on most 2026 models. Visit QuantrellVolvo.com. See dealer for details.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
You got to take the fear out of your shots and know that they might not go in, and live with that, and it's great when it does, and you plan on that. But I think that's how it's got to be.
A perfect people to throw this at. Two guys who love to shoot, and I know dreamed about taking the last shot. And there's an attitude that Colin Chandler has that I think is spectacular. Welcome back, Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. We'll go to the old man first. Bo Lanter and Todd Lanter, two wonderful dudes who played for Kentucky, played guard at Kentucky. I know they're in love with what Chandler hits these clutch shots, but his attitude, not having the fear of missing a shot, because you're not going to make them all. I mean, he's hit some from, it seems like, Danville big late in games, and it's unbelievable. Both of you guys, talk to me about that attitude that I don't think every basketball player has. I think most don't. And I'm not being negative to anybody who doesn't have it. I think it's a tough thing to acquire, to have that attitude. You know, you might miss, but I'm not going to be fearful. I'm just going to let it rip. Bo first, and Todd, and guys, as always, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you both tremendously.
Well, you know, we think about you, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity. You know, I've said on your show 1,000 times, I think the funnest thing about basketball is when the bucket feels like it's 3 times the size. And it's the funnest thing in the world. Just give me the ball and get out of the way. And I think it's, as you go from one level to another level to another level, I think that is even more difficult to maintain. But at the same time, that's why you're there. And I think what Chandler's done is phenomenal. I also think stepping into your shot, always pass to him there at the end of the game was phenomenal drive. Kind of got caught in the air a little bit, but knew where to look, obviously, something they've obviously practiced and expect. And stepping into that shot like that, even though you got a big man, what's cool about shooting, and especially when you're hot, is you're just naturally make adjustments that you've got to get it. That's not even conscious. You've got to get it a little bit higher. You got to release with a little more arch, but yet you accommodate that in the depth of your shot. It's just hard to explain, and you can see that through the whole thing. And when they showed it in slow motion, he went up for that shot, and the tall guy came out on him and got his hand up, and he put a little extra arch on it. And it's just cool to watch. It's fun to watch, and that's what makes basketball, and especially the implementation of the three-pointer in college basketball and the shot clock. It's just fun to watch. It's exciting.
Great answer, Todd.
Man, I love it. It's ironic that we're talking about Colin today. I just had a conversation this morning with a buddy of mine who I play pickup with at the gym every once in a while. And he was asking me my opinion on him. And I said, he's not scared of it. He's not scared of the moment. He's not scared of the ball. He's not scared to take the shot. Hadn't heard that quote until you just played it, to be honest. But he plays that way. So many guys shy away from the moment or don't want the ball in their hands for fear of making a mistake or, a little self-doubt, or they haven't been hitting that night and they shy away from the moment. And, he's put the work in. He knows that if he gets a chance to get a clean look, he's the guy that everybody in the stadium, everybody on our sideline and the coaching staff, that's who we want taking a shot. And he plays that way. He has that mentality. It kind of reminds me a lot of my favorite quote growing up that everybody's probably heard 1,000 times about Jordan missing 9,000 shots and losing 300 games. And he said 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. And that failure is why I succeed. And I think a lot of athletes, especially, big time guys that are counted on in those big moments, that confidence comes from failure, that he's taken that shot, through AAU and through high school ball and through college ball, and he's missed it. And it's that muscle memory and that routine and that confidence that the next one's going to go in, no matter how good or bad you've been shooting that day. And you can just see it in the way he plays. And you mentioned, Dad, the way he got open. It's also funny. We watched Duke and North Carolina, for those that were waiting on the Kentucky game to start. Got to see that matchup in Chapel Hill. And I was explaining to Maria, who, is a basketball fan, but doesn't know a ton about the schematics of the sport, why it was such a genius play that North Carolina ran, that little over-under screen at the elbow to create a mismatch and force Duke to make a decision. Are you going to take away the layup on a game-tying or a game-winning layup, or are you going to bring that hammer screen and open up the skip pass? And they did, and Seth Trimble did what he did and knocked it down, an open shot out of the corner. And after explaining that to Maria, an hour and a half later, we're watching Kentucky, and Ortega gets that ball action, goes down, turns down the screen, goes right at the rim and draws the help. And as soon as the help comes, he knows where to look. And, you mentioned you practice it, but that hammer screen is a pivotal function in today's game that didn't exist even when Dad played, because the three-point line wasn't there. And now it's something that, if that defender's there, if you're coming to contain the ball, then that skip pass is there every time. And if it isn't, then the corner is. And Ortega knew it and was able to get a clean pass. And the pass was half the battle there. It was, to make that pass in the shooter's pocket was absolutely beautiful. And then, you have Colin step up and do what he does. And it was awesome to see. That's beautiful basketball right there.
You know what, guys, that surprised me, and, we don't know if it was said in the huddle and maybe a player didn't pay attention, and don't know if Barnes didn't say something. You know what shocked me more than anything else about Chandler's shot? Not that he took it. He was so wide open. 5 minutes. How come every team doesn't have somebody in his jock strap? Seriously, whether it's a pass or a steal or a shot, I'm just stupefied that he was wide open. And the Tennessee guy went at him and stuff like that. But they should have been a lot closer. And I think and this happens all the time in sports, and both you guys answer this, sometimes your success has a little bit to do with somebody else screwing up, yes?
Well, let me say this, and then Todd, you say what you have to say, but because Todd's motion offense with Cal is a lot different than the offense we played with Coach Hall. But I think all the motion these guys play with these days is all about mismatches. And I think if the guy that would normally guard Colin had been on him, he probably would not have left him. But because of the motion, you had somebody that's not as familiar with being out on the wing with Colin. So when Alway penetrated, he went to the block to help when somebody else might not have. So I think it comes back to the new run to get the mismatches that they want to create those opportunities. Todd, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, that's how offense is structured these days. And not to harp on the Duke North Carolina game, but if you watch that play back as well, that's what that sideline out of bounds play is built to do. Like the fluff of, as we call it a lot of times, that happens before any actionable play happens with the ball, is to create switches or pre-switches to jumble up the defense. And in that particular play with Seth Trimble, the goal was inbound the ball, set a cross screen, and kind of float over the top. And you're forcing the defense to talk. Okay, we're going to switch this. Well, once they switch that, now you can go set a ball screen, and you've got North Carolina's point guard in a one-on-one situation against a big, and he can't guard him in a one-on-one situation. And that forces Duke to decide, do we send help like over when the guard attacks the basket? And if we don't, we're giving up a layup. But if we do send help, then that opens up the corner. And North Carolina, it's not a reactive thing. That play is designed to force Duke into that position. It's literally what you're taught since elementary school. You take what the defense gives you, except they're creating an opportunity for the defense to make that choice. And when they make that choice, it's a lot like chess. It's kind of silly to break it down that way, but people that watch a lot of film on high-level athletics like this know, I'm going to force you into this decision. You make this move, we're going to go here. You make this move, we're going to go here. It's very black and white. And that's the same thing that happened with Colin. As soon as that help defender comes, that pass is going either to the skip corner or skip to the head of the key, free throw line extended, depending on where that other defender is and which middle line he's playing. And Ortega made the right play. And again, not to take anything away from Colin's shot or having the wherewithal to know where to be, but Ortega being able to make that pass on a dime, one-handed skip pass like that and hit him right in the shooter's pocket, that's what makes that play. He made him, Colin didn't have to adjust at all. He didn't have to move to get that shot off. He hit him right in the shooter's pocket in the flow of the offense. And he did what they've done 1,000 times over in practice.
And no matter how much credit that Owe gets, you can't give him enough credit because that was a perfect pass. And the fact that he wouldn't have even tried that pass a month ago. But the trust factor is part of it. The other factor, I think, always just becoming better and better and better and better. Guys, both of you guys answer this. 6 weeks ago, I said on the show that Owe wasn't an NBA player. He wasn't going to get drafted the way he was playing before he started playing well. Now, he's not only going to get drafted, but I look at him, and let me give you my comparison, and then you guys go from there. I compare him to Cason Wallace, who's with OKC. Cason is one of the best defenders in all the NBA. Oh, he's a hell of a defender. He's really, really good, but he's not as good as Cason. Nothing wrong with that. But Owe on some teams now might be the best defender for a guard on some teams right now. Owe is a much better scorer than Wallace is, not even close. And I look at him, and some team like OKC that's more concerned about defense will be smart enough to grab him, put him in the rotation, and his offense, I think, will continue to get better. But to me, he's an NBA player and could be a really valuable NBA player. And 6-7 weeks ago, I didn't think he had a perb. The comparison, one's a little better than the other. I think always offense is a lot better than Cason Wallace's, but neither here nor there. But OKC has so much scoring. They see the value in Wallace. Hey, shut down this guy. Whatever you give us offensively, hey, that's a plus. It's a beautiful thing. They are smart. I think a smart team will look at Owe the same way. Is that crazy?
I feel like obviously always downfall is his 3-point shooting. That being said, I think the team that drafts him knows that, and it's like a lot of, I don't care whether you're talking about football, basketball, baseball, whatever. I think a lot of it is the team you get on, what they're looking for, what they need. Obviously, if the right team drafts him, he's going to be a defensive star. He's going to be a rebounder from that guard position. in the NBA. Hopefully he can start knocking down some threes and increase his range, but you can't count on that. But I do think it comes down to the type of team he gets on and the type of offense that they run.
Young Lanter, your thought?
I think that's a great comparison with Kaysen. The thing about the NBA is you have to be good at everything, but one particular category of your game has to, be the reason you're a pro. But you can't have weaknesses. If you're a great 3-point shooter, but you can't guard your own shadow, then you don't get on the floor. That's just the nature of the beast. This is the best in the world. So you got to elevate these other parts of your game, but you have to have something that gets you on the floor. And with Kaysen, it was right place, right time with OKC because he was able to come in and be that 6th, 7th man to start his career off. He was able to guard all 5 positions when he needed to. He's a grinder. I mean, he's going to fight for every rebound. He's going to fight for every loose ball. He's never going to take a possession off. He's going to be the first one back on defense, but he also can't leave him open. He's a bit of a slasher. He can fly in there, grab an offensive board and put it back. He can dunk on you if he needs to. He can knock down an open shot if you forget about him and leave him in the corner. And he's not, they didn't bring him in as a scorer. But by the time they won the world championship last year, I'm not sure what he was averaging, but they had to be aware of it. He made the scouting report because you left him alone enough times, he's going to burn you. But that's not what got him the roster spot. And I think Ortega has that same opportunity. He's going to earn the roster spot because he's good enough at multiple things. But then once you get to the league, you got to find that thing that keeps you a job. And we'll be seeing what that is depending on where he lands and what that team needs from him. But Kaysen Wallace got very lucky that he ended up in a system that works for the way his game is played, and that he was able to fill a void that OKC was missing. And that's what it takes to be a pro is finding how you're going to earn your time. And I think Ortega can figure out how to do that. But we would definitely want to see him finish the season strong this year.
Coach McLean, the assistant coach who deals with a big man, came up with a stat. This was, I think, a little over a week ago. I think he said it to Goose or to Tom Leach, whatever, on the postgame show, and this really surprised me, that would just catch and shoot threes. Owe at the time was number 1 in the country. And I went, whoa. And he's shooting 34.6%, 35%, which is good enough, but it's going to have to get better, and he's going to have to release a little bit better. But he's much better than Wallace already when it comes to shooting, guys. So I just love his potential. I know you don't want to talk about the NBA, but let's throw it this way. I didn't see all this coming. I mean, did I think these guys would play defense like this? I thought it was possible, but highly unlikely, just being honest. I don't think these guys have peaked. And so give me a second here, then I want you both to go. They're number 25 in the country, and that's fine. And they don't deserve to be much higher than that because, obviously the lousy record early on. Same record as last year at this time, 17-7. But they're not the 25th best team. They're playing much better than that. It happens every year like that. And everybody is the way we're doing it. If you look at groups of teams, and I have like 3 at the top, and then there's another group and another group, all like the top 15 or 16, I think Kentucky's in that third group now. And to me, in my mind, if you're in that third group outside of Cinderella, you got a shot at doing something. And if they haven't peaked, this could end up being a hell of a season for the rest of the season. What do you guys think?
I think Kentucky's going to be one of those teams that nobody's going to want to play, because if the right team shows up, then they got a problem. Can we be consistent enough at that level as you start getting into the Elite Eight and Final Four? Obviously we got the talent to get on a roll. There's been teams that do it in the past, but I think we can be a spoiler for some pretty high, top picks. They don't want to see us in their bracket. I'd sure like to get Florida, though.
I think that's going to be a hell of a game Saturday. Todd?
I've been on an emotional roller coaster with this team. I think at the beginning of the year, over the summer, when we thought we were going to have JQ and everybody healthy, and thought we were going to have a solid point guard to run the team, and guys like Ortega and Colin were going to be able to play off the ball and kind of explore what that offense looks like when we've got a true point guard out there, and we've got a big man we can go to get a bucket when we need. And that was kind of robbed of us pretty quickly. And as we got into the early part of the season, dropped a couple games, started having to question how healthy guys were going to be, and were we going to have them the whole season, and was JQ ever going to play? I kind of lost sight of what I thought this team could look like. I think they lost sight of themselves a little bit. I think Pope was scrambling to figure out how do you piece this unit together. The rotations were all over the place. We had guys not play for 3 games and then all of a sudden start. It was sporadic. And then we kind of settled in. We finally found a little bit of a groove. There was a time where we were ranked early in the season that I thought there is no chance that this team is a ranked team. This Kentucky team is not good. We have a ton of things to figure out. I think there's potential there, but this is not a ranked team. There was a time where I didn't think we were going to make the tournament. And then there was a couple sparks even in games where we lost, where I thought they're starting to figure it out. Like, we're going to have to just accept that we got to play with who we got to play with. And, there's going to be some injuries that are going to prevent guys from being there for the whole remainder of the season. I thought, we were going to have a shoulder surgery situation earlier than we did. And finally, once the guys kind of accepted, here's what we got. Let's figure out how to play with this group. Let's figure out what the rotations need to look like with this group. Let's figure out who needs to be on the floor to make, Otega be able to play off the ball when he needs to. And for Colin to be able to do what he did the other night, where he can play off the ball and step in and make shots. And who's going to be at the end of the game? Who can be on the floor and get fouled and knock down their free throws? Or who's a target that opponents are going to want to foul and put them on the line because they can't. And I think once we kind of fine-tuned that, we have a lot of opportunity moving forward. And it took, a little bit of finding who we are internally.
I hate to interrupt. I got less than 20 seconds of the show. Give me your
You're good. Go.
No, give me your last line. Where do you think this can go? And then Dad,
I think there was a time in the season that that we shouldn't have been ranked, and I think now we're ranked a little too high, or low, however you want to say it.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of opportunity.
Great, Dad.
I think the Florida game is going to have a lot to do with it, and then, if we can keep playing like we are, I think where you put them, 15, 16, 17, 18, somewhere in there is probably going to be fair unless we win the rest of them. But I'm pretty comfortable with where we are. I'd like to sneak up on some people.
Sounds great. Hey, I think the world of both of you. Thank you for your time. Bless you both. Great analysis. Have a great day, and may all your ice be gone.
Hey, really?
Thank you, brother. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.
You too.
Hey, wait. Can I say one thing real quick, Alan?
Say it.
Sorry, I can't. I got to make a comment about Maria's commercial. Did you see that?
Yes, it was great, and I should have said something.
Isn't that awesome?
It was great, and Todd's commercial where he's shirtless and no shoes in the ice, wearing underwear or a bathing suit, that was great too. I'm glad you said it. Maria was spectacular.
That the Leitner thing was pretty funny.
That was funny. And Todd, nothing about your shorts, huh? In the ice?
Nothing about them. But I'm glad we got Christian to do it. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. You know what? I apologize. I should have led with that. Seriously, that really should have. That's my bad. Thank you for saying it. I'm in and over. Brad Taylor will forgive me. Thanks for saying that. Guys, you're great. Thanks, guys. Great day.
Appreciate you. See you.
Thanks.
I got you. Why did I not say that right away, Jimmy? What was I thinking?
If Bo didn't bring it up there at the end, as soon as they were gone, I was going to bring it up and say
you should have.
That commercial was one of the best ones.
It was spectacular. We need to have Maria on. I'm going to text Maria. I'm going to see if she can come on Friday or Monday. Really do it. Todd just said to us, nice plug, Dad. Maria will appreciate it. You're right. I am super